We're kicking off today with Monday Night Raw, as Becky Lynch was at the show with one goal: to win back the WWE Women's World Championship. It was last Saturday in Jeddah that Lynch lost the title to Liv Morgan, albeit thanks to the allegedly unintentional interference of Dominik Mysterio. On Raw, Morgan and Lynch met in a steel cage, which should have, in theory, prevented Dominik interfering, but that proved easier said than done. Morgan had the upper hand over Lynch right from the get-go, but Lynch was able to fight back, and in the closing moments of the show, Dominik made his presence felt. Mysterio opened the door, seemingly to help Lynch, but was confronted by Finn Balor and JD McDonough, and their presence at ringside brought out Braun Strowman. The monster among men chased the Judgment Day, and his attack on Mysterio would see Dirty Dom accidentally slam the cage door into Lynch, preventing her escape. Amid the chaos, Liv Morgan was able to escape and retain the title, but it was what happened after the match that has had fans talking. In the closing moments of Monday Night Raw, Morgan came face to face with a frustrated Dominik and kissed the Judgment Day member, who seemed shocked by the move. Mysterio didn't seem interested in the kiss, but if recent teases on Raw are to be believed, then the two may be closer than it first seems. In fact, earlier in the night, Morgan was spotted in the backstage area talking to JD McDonough before the Irish Ace was scared off by Bron, alluding to what had happened later that night. It'll be interesting to see how this kiss changes things, especially with Rhea Ripley still on the shelf. And what did you make of the match and what happened after? Let us know down below. So Becky Lynch failed to capture the Women's World title on this week's Raw, and this loss has come at a pivotal point in the wrestling career of the man. Taking to Twitter, Lynch shared a cryptic photo of herself walking away backstage with the caption, "To be continued," and that's because her future in WWE looks very unclear. Fightful Select reports that Lynch's current WWE deal is set to expire within a matter of days on June 1st, and after that date, she will officially become a free agent. While it's said that both sides are in ongoing discussions, it remains unclear whether an agreement is imminent or if the time has run out for WWE. Should Lynch become a free agent, it's almost certain that other promotions would be interested in her, namely AEW, who'd love to add the man to its women's division. On Raw, Lynch had a backstage segment with Lyra Valkyria and spoke of getting better every time, and added that she wants to win and learn until it's time to walk away. Even during the match, you could see in Lynch's face and eyes that she was at a crossroads, clearly unsure of whether she would enter a WWE arena again amid contractual negotiations. It appears that Lynch's time to walk away could be mere days away, and do you think she should re-sign or test her skills elsewhere? Share your thoughts in the comments section. Becky Lynch isn't the only name to have a contract that's expiring though, as it's been reported that Natalya's deal is also set to expire very soon. In an update from Fightful Select, it stated that Natalya has not yet signed a new deal, and that the former SmackDown Women's Champion is ready to weigh her options. It'll certainly be significant if Natalya, who's been on WWE's roster since 2008, chooses to leave, and there's still another name on the list of talent with expiring contracts. Now fans can add Dijak to this list, as Fightful reports that the recent Raw call-up will see his contract expire in just over a month. While Dijak was drafted to the Red Brand just a few weeks ago, he hasn't shown up on Raw lately, and has instead been a part of WWE Main Event. Dijak has impressed a lot of fans in NXT, and many were excited to see him called up to Raw, but we'll just have to see what the future holds, and if he ever makes it to the Red Brand. On last week's Raw, Bron Breakker decimated the NXT up-and-comer Kale Dixon with 3 spears, and after Dixon was ruled unable to compete, that didn't stop Breakker's onslaught. Bron continued this attack until officials intervened, and Adam Pearce berated him, and it appears that further action was taken after last week's show. This week, Ricochet demanded a match with Breakker, as he too was attacked by Bron last week, but Pearce shared that Breakker had been suspended for what had transpired. Instead of Breakker, Ricochet faced Ilya Dragunov in a rematch of their King of the Ring first round match, and the pair had a great match that was unfortunately cut short. Despite his suspension, Breakker invaded the match and attacked both Ricochet and Dragunov, and backstage, Adam Pearce was again berating Bron for his actions. When asked by Kathy Kelly what Bron's next punishment will be, Pearce didn't give a definitive answer, but instead said that he needed a drink. Bron has been angry that he was snubbed from the King of the Ring tournament, and what do you think should be done with the former NXT champion? Sound off in the comments below. In 2022, Maria Kanellis returned to Ring of Honor following Tony Khan's acquisition of the company, and has served as a manager on the show since then. If you've been watching ROH recently though, you won't have seen much of Maria, and that's proving to be an issue for the former WWE 24/7 champion. When a fan on Twitter suggested that Maria was happy to have a minor role and 2-minute segments, the veteran made clear that she is not happy about it. Not only that, but Maria added that she's tried to fight for more opportunities, but in the end, she can only do her job as part of Ring of Honor. 2 years into Khan's acquisition of Ring of Honor, Maria clearly feels she could be doing much more for the promotion, but time will tell if that ever happens. More from Raw now, as this week's show saw another QR code appear on screen, this time during the opening moments of the match between Ricochet and Ilya Dragunov. Upon scanning, it led to a web page housing 2 intriguing video segments. The first clip featured the safe return of a woman previously reported as missing. The woman, who has been named Wendy Lucho, an anagram of Uncle Howdy, was very grateful to her liberator, who she identified only as him. The second footage depicted an individual seated at the missing woman's desk, watching the aforementioned video on a laptop, and for a brief moment, they materialized in a mirror. It's impossible to deduce who appeared in the mirror, but it is believed this is all building towards the return of Uncle Howdy, as played by Bo Dallas. Howdy is expected to return alongside a group including Eric Rowan, Dexter Lumis, Joe Casey, and Nikki Cross, and despite speculation, it's unclear when the faction will arrive. Some expected the group to appear last Saturday in Jeddah, but that obviously did not happen, and it remains to be seen when fans will receive some definitive answers to this mystery. It wasn't just on WWE TV that the QR code mystery has been existing, as a series of cryptic clues and messages have also been found on WWE's Twitch and WhatsApp channels. Now the QR code mystery has invaded WWE 2K24, as when gamers opened the latest video game in the series, they were greeted with another QR code. When scanned, it took fans to a website where a creepy video plays featuring much of the symbology that we've seen in previous videos. In the closing moments of the video, a figure can be seen removing a veil, with some believing this to be an incarnation of Sister Abigail, who was a part of Bray Wyatt's lore. Speaking of Wyatt, the website's URL contains the numbers 1119, which fans with a good memory will remember was part of a Firefly Funhouse segment back in 2019. That segment saw Wyatt fix the clock of Abby the Witch, so it read 1119, with fans at the time speculating that it was connected to The Undertaker, who debuted on November 19, 1990. As to what this clue means this time around, it's difficult to say, but fans will have to keep tuned to WWE TV and now the games for more clues about this ongoing mystery. Raw opened up with Ludwig Kaiser introducing the new King of the Ring, Gunther, who wasted no time in addressing his upcoming World Heavyweight Championship match at SummerSlam. Gunther threw out insults about Damian Priest, which inevitably brought out the reigning champion, and Drew McIntyre soon followed and took exception to being ignored. After all, it'll be McIntyre who challenges Priest at Clash of the Castle Scotland, meaning it could be Gunther vs. Drew in a rematch from SummerSlam 2023. A back and forth ensued as Gunther ducked out of the ring before Braun Strowman made his way to the ring for his match with JD McDonough, but Braun also eyed Priest's title. Strowman defeated McDonough in a match that went far longer than many would have predicted and did a lot to make McDonough look good despite his size disadvantage. The real story here though was Braun setting his sights on the World Heavyweight Championship, as the title picture is proving to grow increasingly crowded. One has to imagine that CM Punk will also set his sights on the World Heavyweight title when the time is right, so expect things to get even busier over the richest prize on Raw. Damian Priest may have the title, but his reign is in serious jeopardy, and who do you expect will be standing tall as the World Heavyweight Champion after SummerSlam in Cleveland? Over to AEW now, and it was back in 2021 that Mark Henry made his debut as part of that year's Double or Nothing, but his time in AEW hasn't exactly set the world on fire. Henry has been used solely for broadcast appearances without a hint that he'd wrestle or even get physical, and now his time with All Elite Wrestling has come to an end. On Busted Open Radio, Henry shared that his contract with AEW has ended today, May 28th, and confirmed that he would not be renewing his contract. Henry explained that he felt he was unable to dedicate 100% of himself to AEW, and now he wants to take more time to handle his website and his remarkable brand. The WWE Hall of Famer did make clear that his time with AEW has been wholly positive, and while he hasn't finished some things he was working on, those in AEW know how to reach him. The world's strongest man also made clear that he is not leaving pro wrestling, but for now is taking time to work on projects before coming back to the industry in full force. But what do you think Henry's next role in wrestling should be? Perhaps a WWE return? Or should he try his hand at a different promotion like TNA or GCW? Let us know in the comments below. At New Japan's Resurgence event, Eddie Kingston suffered a leg injury that forced him out of the Anarchy in the Arena match at Double or Nothing, and his role was filled by Darby Allin. A few days ago, it was reported that Kingston had not yet had surgery for his knee injury, but we now know when the Mad King will go under the knife. PW Insider reports that Kingston will have the surgery on July 8th, only after his tibular fracture has been given a chance to heal itself before his knee. From there, Kingston is expected to be out of action for around 10 months, which would put his return to the ring around May 2025, though it could be delayed. Kingston's injury has clearly turned out to be very severe and is expected to stay away from the squared circle for a long time, and we are sending our very best to him at this time. More injury news as Dominik Mysterio is currently out of action with a torn ligament, and this week, the former North American champion gave a positive update on his recovery. Speaking to Comic Book Nation, Mysterio said his ligament is doing a lot better and said that he doesn't need surgery, but instead can handle things with 6 to 8 weeks of rehab. Mysterio has already completed 2 weeks of rehab, so it won't be long before he's back in the ring, and it'll certainly be interesting to see what the future holds given what happened on Raw. As for Rhea Ripley, she's not expected to be back so soon, but Dominik has experience being separate from Mommy, as this is what had happened in February at Elimination Chamber Perth. In the interview, Dominik explained how he was kept separate from Ripley in Australia, as WWE didn't want Rhea to be booed due to association with him. That's why Ripley competed in the show's main event against Nia Jax without her Dom by her side, and understandably got a hero's welcome in her home country. Given the kiss on Raw, Rhea Ripley may not be on board with being aligned with Dominik on TV anymore, though we'll only know for sure once Mommy has recovered and is back on TV. Since returning to WWE in 2022, Cody Rhodes has been one of the company's top stars, and in addition to being the WWE champion, is making moves on the silver screen. It was recently revealed that Rhodes will have a cameo role in the upcoming Naked Gun reboot with Liam Neeson and Pamela Anderson, and now more could be in the works. PW Insider has learned that Rhodes is being represented theatrically by WME, which stands for William Morris Endeavor, and this is one of the biggest agencies in Hollywood. As the name suggests, WME is also known as just Endeavor, which acquired WWE back in 2023 in a blockbuster $9 billion deal that has seen WWE merged with UFC to form TKO. Cody has been working with WME for about a month now, and this makes Rhodes the first WWE talent to be represented by his employers at Endeavor since the acquisition happened. WME also represents The Rock, Logan Paul, John Cena, and Ronda Rousey, and don't be surprised if the American Nightmare starts making more appearances on the big screen. Back to Raw now, as the Judgment Day isn't the only faction with internal issues, as Damage Control has also been facing problems in recent weeks. On the show, Kairi Sane lost to Lyra Valkyria, and this led to Io Sky having a meltdown in her dressing room as she broke a lamp and stomped on a coffee table before storming out. In isolation, this was a fine segment, but it certainly suggests that the end of Damage Control is coming, which may not be the best course of action right now. With so few female teams getting over right now, WWE would be wise to keep Damage Control together, especially after getting a new look by ousting Bayley. Hopefully this week's outburst was just a call for Damage Control to get serious with a renewed focus, as right now, it feels that these women would benefit more as a group than as individuals. The issues between Alpha Academy also continue to grow on Raw, as Otis took on Bronson Reed and Chad Gable refused to let Otis use his popular Caterpillar move. This distraction allowed Reed to hit a kick and score a win with the Tsunami, and Gable was ready to beat Otis with his belt before Maxine Dupree stopped him to a big ovation. Sami Zayn came out to ask Otis what he wants to do, and the big man chose his side, at least for one night, as he watched Gable attack Zayn to end another great segment for this group. In a battle of veterans, Rey Mysterio took on the treacherous Carlito on Raw, and despite interference from Finn Balor, it was Rey who got the win. Mysterio's post-match attack was cut short by Damian Priest, who is already spread thin enough and is clearly growing tired of covering for the rest of the Judgment Day. Sheamus was back on Raw this week and began a program with Ludwig Kaiser, and after being insulted by the Celtic Warrior, Kaiser brawled with the former WWE champion. The two fought until officials and Adam Pearce got involved, and this was a short, sweet segment that shined a light on what should be a fun mid-card feud between the two. And that was this week's Raw. And what did you make of the show? Let us know down in the comments. And we're ending today with more from Monday Night Raw as Becky Lynch shared a moment with the crowd after the show went off the air. After her steel cage match loss to Liv Morgan, Lynch was very emotional after the show, and she waved to the fans before going to the backstage area. This reaction will again have fans wondering whether they have just seen the final WWE match of Becky Lynch, given that her current deal will expire within a matter of days. Ultimately, time will tell what the future holds for Becky Lynch, but if this was indeed her last WWE match, the former champion got a fitting send-off by the fans at Monday Night Raw.